If you get a chance or you haven't gotten a chance and you want to watch the best shooter in college basketball, men or women, it's Caitlin Clark. It is. Just watch her shoot.
Ladies and gentlemen, I love Caitlin Clark. She's been a guest on this show. I think she's spectacular. I'm the one that's been calling her the Steph Curry of women's basketball, and she has done nothing to push that back. I mean, this young lady is spectacular. She's been great for women's basketball overall, not just college basketball, but women's basketball. I think she has the potential, when all is said and done, to be arguably the greatest ever, because when you have that kind of range and that kind of handle, and you can pull up from the parking lot like Steph Curry, for crying out loud, I think that's something that you can transition to the next level, and it's going to be spectacular to see, and I can't wait to see it.
I firmly believe that she is the biggest brand in college sports right now. But we're a highlight-driven society. And every single day, when you have the first 40-point triple-double in the history of the NCAA tournament, when you drop 35-plus point games multiple times, right? And everything you see about her has a similar swag, right? It's like a swag that you hear like people like Kobe Bryant, or, you know, you see Sue Bird at the game watching this, almost in amazement of her.
She was always leading that shit. She always had the ball in her hands. Everybody was playing off of her. She just commanded the whole game. I was like, who the hell is this? She is nice. It was like, oh, she's the best player in the country. I was like, oh, damn. I see it now. Like, you know, like when you walk in and you don't even know who anybody is, and they just like, yo, that's the best player in the country right there. It's just like, yo, that shit hits you out of nowhere. Like, let me really focus in on her.
Yeah. Iowa Hawkeye superstar Caitlin Clark is the hottest name in women's basketball right now, and for good reason. She's the NCAA's all-time leading women's scorer. She broke the NCAA record for most points scored in a tournament, and she's considered the first ever Division I player to reach 3,300 points, 900 assists, and 800 rebounds in a career. Clark's extraordinary talent has also caused a bit of a frenzy in the domain of women's basketball. Because of Caitlin, ticket prices have skyrocketed, lines of eager fans swarm for her autograph, and more people than ever before are flocking to watch women's basketball in person and on television. Popular news outlets are calling this the Caitlin Clark effect. Even guys like Pat McAfee are applauding Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark is a stone cold dog. She is a killer. She is stone cold. She's a savage, and she is maybe one of the greatest mental competitors that I've ever watched play a sport, AJ Hawk.
I'm going to have to agree with that. The woman has no fear whatsoever. She's in range for a shot as soon as she comes out the locker room.
It sure feels like that. I mean, the announcers were talking about that throughout the game, like how has she handled all of this, like all of the extra attention, all of what's going on, and she just seems... What do they say? What's the old saying? Like, wise beyond her years? Like, she's only 22 years old.
No nerves, no...
Now, I want you to remember that. Even AJ Hawk just said it, that she's only 22 years old. That's going to be important as you hear the rest of this video.
Tightness, plays her best game. It's like, that's whenever some people can get rattled. Instead, there's only a few amount of humans in the history in those situations that just somehow get even better. It's like, she's not a human. I am a massive fan of watching her play basketball.
She's going to be a total rock star in the WNBA as well. She's going to go out there, and, here in Indy.
And coming from Connecticut, I just remember watching Rebecca Lobo, Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, and I'm used to seeing really good women's basketball. Caitlin Clark has taken it to an art form. She is absolutely incredible.
She's just going to throw up 50 points a game too. I mean, like she's that special.
I got emotional. They did a Caitlin Clark celebration afterwards, where like her family and ex-teammates and everybody like kind of sent a message. Watching her watch that, you know.
And if you haven't seen it, it really was a touching thing that Iowa did on her behalf.
It was like a cool thing because I feel like she's probably a human, and now I got to be around one of them. Me and Adam Vinatieri watching them, where it's like, what if you do, like, what's next? Like, we got to focus on whatever's next, whatever next. It's almost like last night she did take a moment she like even got teary-eyed watching it. And I'm almost getting emotional because the amount of work that this girl has put in to get to this point, the amount of parties, hangouts, relationships, things that everybody else was able to go to, she missed them. You know why? Because she was putting up shots in the gym so that whenever she has
thousands of shots. I've told my grandson right now, as a freshman who just made varsity, you're going to have to be one of those type of people. You're going to have to spend hours and hours and hours in the gym if you want to make it to the next level.
History on the line. She just pulls up and bangs it home. It's like that moment of celebration, like made me emotional watching. I'm like, hey, way to go. You know, like wait, you've earned this, Caitlin.
Absolutely.
You've earned it. At the age of 22, the amount of sacrifice she's put in to be this person, you don't really get to see or hear, but you know has happened. It's like last night, I hope she got a chance to really take that all in.
But as always, wild success comes at a price. And what's the inevitable result of unparalleled success? Haters. And Caitlin Clark sure has plenty of those. Over on ESPN, Jay Williams refused to even call her a great player. Seriously, he said that on live television. He said he doesn't consider her a great player because as of yet, she hasn't won a national championship.
I think she is the Stephen Curry of women's college basketball. I think she has changed the dynamics of the way the game is played. I think the way she plays, the pizzazz, is like she's probably the most prolific scorer the game of basketball has ever seen.
Unmatched.
I am unwilling, and maybe it's more the Kobe mentorship around me, to say that she is great yet. I think she is the most prolific scorer the game has ever seen. I hold great, or the levels of immortality, or the pantheon to when you win championships. That's just me.
I guess that Jay Williams, even though he played college basketball at Duke and then played in the NBA, never heard of guys like, Kevin Durant, Larry Bird, Tim Duncan, and Pistol Pete Maravich, because all of those players would be considered great players, and none of them won a national championship in college. But her haters don't stop there. You can already see the WNBA beginning to get themselves on edge about Caitlin Clark. One person who definitely isn't in the Caitlin Clark fan club is none other than WNBA former MVP Sheryl Swoopes. Sheryl Swoopes was the first woman ever signed to play in the WNBA, and she set the record for the most points scored in a collegiate tournament back in 1993 that stood until last year when Caitlin Clark broke it in 2023. Listen here, as Swoopes begins the smear campaign in advance of Caitlin Clark getting into the WNBA, as she tells lie after lie on the Gilbert Arenas podcast. Check this out.
Because I say this, yes, records are made and set to be broken. But if you're going to break a record, this isn't just for Caitlin, but you asked me about Caitlin. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set it. Okay. Right? So if Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years.
She did. That's the funniest part about what she just said. As she's talking about Kelsey Plum and how prolific a scorer she was in her 4-year career, Caitlin Clark's only played 4 years. What the hell are you talking about, Sheryl? Caitlin Clark has only played 4 years of college ball. Not understanding why you would say something so stupid. Let's continue.
But because there's a COVID year, and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year.
Nope, not true. A bold-faced lie. She's not had an extra year. This is her 4th year. She's a senior. I don't know why you would make stuff up.
To break that record. So is it truly a broken record?
Of course it's a broken record. Of course it's a legitimate record. Of course, Caitlin Clark is the national scoring champion, scored the most points in women's collegiate basketball history. There's no doubt about that. She didn't have an extra year. She did it in the same period of time, her 4 years of collegiate ball. Why would you tell people just a straight out lie, unless you just didn't know and just assumed it, which is probably even worse. But she continues. Let's listen in.
Yeah, that'll go in the record books as Caitlin Clark is the all-time, whatever it is. I don't even know what the number is, but that's the way it'll be. So people say, dang, like he or she's killing them. But you have a 25-year-old playing against a 20-year-old.
Mm-hmm. I don't think she knows who Caitlin Clark really is. As you saw with AJ Hawk and Pat McAfee, and I told you to listen, Caitlin Clark is only 22. She's a fourth-year senior. She's 22 years old, and Sheryl Swoopes seems to not have any clue who Caitlin Clark is. Nothing she has said thus far makes any sense, but she continues.
Like, you should be killing them. Because you've been doing it a lot longer than they have.
Now here is where she gets into some serious weeds and talks a bunch of crap. She has no idea what the heck she's talking about.
Right now, probably takes about 40 shots a game.
40 shots a game? I don't know if the entire team takes 40 shots a game, but even if they do, she does not take 40 points a game. In fact, I ran the numbers. Over her entire career, she has only taken 19.8 shots per game. The Kelsey Plum, who she referred to earlier, 18.5 points a game. She takes one more shot per game than Kelsey Plum took. Sheryl Swoopes seems to have no idea what she's talking about, and the other guys on the podium or panel with her, they don't seem to have any idea what she's talking about because they're just nodding along. Meanwhile, she's just spewing lie after lie with no intention of even understanding who Caitlin Clark is. She's not taking 40 shots a game. You're just lying. And if you're not lying, then you're just plain ignorant. She's 22. She's not 25. She's only been in college for 4 years, not 5. And she's not taking 40 shots a game. So it's beginning. The smear campaign against Caitlin Clark is obviously beginning. And you know it's only going to get worse. When Caitlin Clark gets into the WNBA, she ends up playing for teams, and the crowds at these games that are usually 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 at max, suddenly 10,000 plus people start showing up to see Caitlin Clark. It's probably going to build some, friction amongst the WNBA players. And then you want to couple that with that many of the fans in attendance will be wearing Caitlin Clark paraphernalia. And then after the game, all the little girls and probably some young boys that are at a WNBA game for the first time are going to run past all the other players and are going to want the autograph of Caitlin Clark. They're going to want them to sign shirts, basketballs, everything. She is going to be locked in with the fans, unlike most of the WNBA players of today. In addition, she's going to get some huge endorsement deals that a lot of the WNBA players right now aren't getting. She's already killing it with her NIL deals. Take a look at this. This is from Front Office Sports, and they're talking about Caitlin Clark's NIL deals and how it's growing. She's created a portfolio, and it's estimated at anywhere between 1 million and 3 million is what she's pulling down with her NIL deals. So I'm not going to go through the whole article, but I want you to see some of the stuff in here. She's got her NIL portfolio has solidified Clark as one of the most marketable college athletes. Probably her and Livy Dunn are probably the top two. Shedeur Sanders. They're killing it with their NIL deals. She's already struck a huge deal with Gatorade, and just check out some of the brands that she's working with. She became the first athlete to sign with State Farm. She also has deals with major brands including Nike, Buick, Topps, and H&R Block. And we're thrilled to be part of the Caitlin's journey to greatness early in her career. And then when she broke the record, Nike put out a huge billboard of sorts on social media, welcoming her to the Nike family and praising her for what she's done. You don't see that with a lot of the current WNBA players. I bet you could name 5 WNBA players. I would ask you, can you name 5 WNBA players right now? Caitlin Clark and also the woman from UConn, Paige Buchers, are going to be household names. And unfortunately for the WNBA, they don't really fit in with the aura of the other players. The locker room politics and the coming derision that she'll face is going to be really interesting to watch. She'll likely be painted as the great white hope of the WNBA. But what may be more sinister is how the WNBA media will portray Caitlin Clark. As a straight white woman, I don't think it's a stretch to say that she's going to cause a little friction amongst the gay and black players in the league with all the attention she's going to garner. Jason Whitlock had something to say about that. Take a listen.
She's going to face a level of racism from black players, and she's going to face a level of hostility from lesbian players because she's not on team LGBTQ. She's a Catholic. She's got some boyfriend. She's going to walk into an extremely hostile environment.
I have to agree with Jason Whitlock on this one. I think it's a powder keg. I think it's going to be problematic because Caitlin Clark is coming into the WNBA with star quality. The other players right now, like I said, I couldn't name 3 or 4, but I'm going to know Caitlin Clark when she gets to the WNBA. The brands are going to know Caitlin Clark when she gets to the WNBA. The fans are going to flock to see Caitlin Clark when she gets to the WNBA. The networks will more than likely feature more games of the WNBA, especially those where she's going to be playing. How's this all going to work out? I don't know, but I know the WNBA needs her. There's no doubt that the WNBA, a struggling, catastrophically struggling league, needs somebody like Caitlin Clark. Let me know what you think about Caitlin Clark, what she's doing in college, and what she's going to do in the WNBA. And Sheryl Swoopes, you need to read up on some stuff. You were just completely wrong about Caitlin Clark. Talk to you soon.